Yes! Welcome to That's Good Sports. I'm Brandon. If the Cowboys win the season opener, I'll never call Mike McCarthy a bad coach again, Perna. Mike McCarthy is like Bruce Arians, except I don't think his players respect him and he doesn't know half as much about football as Bruce. Today, we've got NFL headlines, including Tom Brady pooping his panties over the number changes again, the Saints making a couple of big personnel moves, and why I've still got very high hopes for Bradley Chubb. Wait, why I am full Chubb for Bradley Chubb. Whew, that's good sports. Please, consider subscribing here. If you don't, get the fuck out. Today's episode is sponsored by Manscaped.com/goodsports. Manscaped offers you the best tools and liquid formulations for the big three odor zones: body, balls, and butt. These concoctions and advancements for below-the-belt grooming are all included in the Perfect Package 4.0 from Manscaped. In addition to the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and Crop Reviver Ball Toner Spray, you get the king of body hair trimmers with the Lawnmower 4.0. The Lawnmower 4.0 is an electric, waterproof trimmer with advanced, skin-safe technology which reduces nicks and cuts in the nether region, aka your wiener hairs. Plus, it's got a travel lock feature now, so your trimmer will never go off in your luggage, and we know what that sounds like. So right now, you can click my link below or go to manscaped.com/goodsports to get 20% off, plus free shipping, plus 2 free gifts, the Shed travel bag, and the best anti-chafing boxer briefs I've ever pulled over my tight little buttocks. Manscaped, the perfect tools for your family jewels. Okay, I'll get to NFL headlines in a minute. I wanted to elaborate on Tom Brady, because Tom Brady is whining about number changes again. Now that a few Cowboys have changed their numbers, including Trayvon Diggs, who is wearing the number 7, Brady don't like it. Tom, here's the only number you should be worried about: 44. The reason you can't tell these players apart is probably because you're developing cataracts. Now, here's what you should know. Some weeks, I'm going to hate Tom Brady, all right? And some weeks, I'm going to accept him, maybe even praise him. This is a big step for me. So my apologies in advance if I send mixed signals about FYTB. But to be fair to me, Brady is sending mixed signals on the likability scale. So just last week, I praised this mother licker for being honest about how soft the NFL has become in terms of overprotecting the quarterback and penalizing the defense for hitting too hard. Remember, Tom said this:
defensive player comes in and hits him hard and they throw a flag on the defense. Quarterback, you got to protect yourself and your players. It shouldn't be the responsibility of your opponent to protect you.
I called Tom a purist. And I said I kind of like him now. Then, just a couple days later, he starts bitching that the number rule change is too hard and it's an advantage for the defense because he and the offense have to put in extra work when they change. Tom said this: the number rule is crazy. Literally, guys changed their numbers today. I'm playing 2 guys who had different numbers in the preseason. So yeah, you've got to watch film and know who you're studying, but so do running backs. They've got to know who to block. So does the offensive line. So does the receivers who are adjusting to their routes based on blitzes. Pick a lane, Tom.
And I think it's a really disservice to the sport.
So in 1 week, Tom basically said the NFL has made it too hard for defenses, and then also started bitching that the defense has an unfair advantage. Here's why Tom's overreacting. The offensive line, they have to block the defenders. The running back, the blitzer. Don't care what number they're wearing, and I don't care if it takes you an extra half a second to identify that. But at least you and I both agree whoever does sneak through protection should be allowed to blast you full force. Now, headlines. Tom Brady's complaining and Josh Allen is trying to learn to catch footballs like Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. This is a clip that no matter how many times you watch it, it will never not be funny. Oh God, Josh, I love you. Here's some good news for Colts fans. Carson Wentz will play in Week 1 against the Seahawks, despite undergoing foot surgery just 4 weeks ago and going on the COVID list just this last week. Unfortunately, this means we will not get to see Jacob Eason, who is one of our Benchwarmer favorites in the preseason.
Buy my coffee, BenchwarmerBrew.com. Subliminal messaging. Buy it, damn it. Subliminal.
But it does give Indy a bit of hope in what was otherwise a nightmarish start to the season. The question will be, how long does Carson Wentz stay healthy, and will he play long enough to stay on the field? Now, the Saints released running back Latavius Murray after he declined to take a pay cut this season. Murray had a really solid year in 2020, averaging 4.5 yards per carry and almost 8 yards a catch. If I were the Saints, I would not be letting good offensive players go right now. Michael Thomas is out, and they're putting all of their eggs in a basket that includes Alvin Kamara and Marquez Callaway, whose claim to fame is still just lighting up the Jaguars' defense in preseason. I put about as much stock in that game as I do IMG Academy rolling over Bishop Sycamore. But wait, I've got more Saints news. New Orleans have traded for cornerback Bradley Roby, like Tom Grossi and I talked about in our debut show today.
I don't know if you saw this. It was breaking news. They just traded for a new corner.
Yes.
Who is not going to be there week 1, so suck it. Davante Adams is still going to destroy your ass. It doesn't matter. He's not there week 1. You could be in Jacksonville. You could be in Houston. You could be in New Orleans. You could be in Denver for all I care. It doesn't matter. Davante Adams is going to destroy you.
This is Roby coming over from the Texans. As a fan of Bradley Roby, someone who played a huge part of the Broncos winning the Super Bowl, I am in favor of this move. Really, any move that gets Roby out of Houston. Roby is literally going from Houston to a team that currently does not have a home, and it's better than being with the Texans. If only Phillip Lindsay could have been included in this package. Because yeah, the Saints actually could use Phillip Lindsay at running back. Roby won't be available week 1, not because he won't be ready in time, but because he's still suspended 1 week for violating the league's PED policy last season, which honestly, if you have to play for the Texans, should be allowed. As should all other forms of drugs, performance enhancing, recreational, or otherwise. Now this clip's a couple days old, but I had to throw it in. I want to know how much it would pay to become Derrick Henry's personal stiff arm dummy. I've got the brains to be a dummy. The pros include $100K per year, great benefits, and of course dry humping those red practice dummies. The cons? That you're going to have to use those benefits because Derrick Henry is going to stiff arm your brain into oatmeal. The average life expectancy for a King Henry stiff arm pawn is 56. That's 22.5 years shorter than your average American life. Now, this video presents another question for me. Does Derrick Henry really need to practice? I vote no. When you run for 2,000 yards, you no longer need to practice your craft. You've clearly figured it out. Someone who hasn't figured it out, Le'Veon Bell has signed with the Ravens practice squad. The move comes after the season-ending injuries of both J.K. Dobbins and Justice Hill. Let's just say there's no justice on the Hill. Bell, of course, started his career with the Steelers, then played for both the Jets and the Chiefs after, and he became the first player in NFL history to hate Andy Reid. Obviously, Le'Veon Bell now gets 2 potential revenge games against his old team, the Steelers, and he will have his revenge by serving as the personal scout team stiff-arm dummy for Gus Edwards. If I'm the Ravens, though, I'd be calling Latavius Murray and signing him immediately, and then waive Bell while he's still on the practice squad. Murray is a better running back and a better fit for the Ravens' rushing style. Plus, I have Murray on some of my fantasy leagues, and I know he'd get touches in Baltimore. And those are your NFL heady lines. I know I touched on this yesterday, but Bradley Chubb was detained for some traffic shit. But I realized after I uploaded there's some connections between Bradley Chubb and Von Miller and their career, including these dumb driving mistakes. So yesterday, Bradley Chubb was detained on a failure to appear warrant after not showing up to court following a charge for driving with expired tags. Now, all that does is remind me that his contract is slowly expiring, and we need to give Chubb a new contract instead of the franchise tag, just like Courtland Sutton. See how I spun that one? Please, just figure this out, Bradley. We don't need any distractions this week. God forbid you have to appear in front of Judge Judy. The good news is that even though Colorado takes traffic violations a little too seriously in terms of putting out warrants for expired tags and shit, this has all been sorted out, all right? As soon as you pay the fine, you're good to go. The real Bradley Chubb news is his ankle is still sore as he continues to recover from an ankle surgery in May, and his playing status for this week is in jeopardy. That's the real story. As Broncos fans, all we want is Von Miller and Bradley Chubb on the field at the same time. And every year that seems to be more and more fucking impossible. Now, this also brings me back to Von Miller's third year in the league when he was arrested for basically the exact same thing, driving without a license and not showing up to court. There are a lot of through lines in their arcs as players. Thankfully, Bradley Chubb has already gotten the ACL tear out of the way, which Von Miller also had in 2013. So no need to go through that one again, it's already been done. If my theory goes according to plan, this means Von Miller will assume the DeMarcus Ware role, set Bradley Chubb straight, and watch as Chubb wins Super Bowl MVP for the Broncos. Then, the Broncos let Malik Reed walk in free agency. He joins the Buccaneers and leads the league in sacks before winning another Super Bowl with them. Maybe we can avoid that part of the story if we learned our lesson. Also the part where Bradley Chubb fakes a drug test and gets suspended for 6 games. That would be nice. This Denver defense has a chance to be special, and Teddy Bridgewater can easily be the 2015 Peyton Manning for this parallel to be even more accurate. Jokes aside, I guess my larger point is that young players are a little immature sometimes. Von Miller was immature. Probably still is in some ways, like me, making dick jokes every day. And it looks like Chubb might be similarly immature in some respects. But the Von Miller story also taught us that with some mentorship, it's easy to help star players unlock their full potential, and Bradley Chubb might need a quick wake-up call and a kick in the pants to get things straight. Now this should be a huge year for Chubb, assuming that fucking ankle gets right, as he's 2 years removed from the ACL injury, and he's playing for a new contract. If he doesn't break 10 sacks at least, I'd say it'll have been a disappointing season. But I'd bet on the over, especially with Von Miller eating up blocks on the other side. Thanks for watching That's Good Sports. Please subscribe here on YouTube, and don't forget, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning, Tom Grossi and I are live for about an hour talking about the NFL.
I can't tell you how freaking fracking excited I am. We have actual football tomorrow.
Oh my God.
NFL. Like people were like, but there was college football last weekend. No.